Javier Aguirre's first Mexican squad is supposed to be released, I think, tomorrow or the day after. But because of that, there's been a lot of rumors regarding him bringing back a lot of older talents, especially in the striker position, including Raul Jimenez and Henry Martin. So we decided today to talk about Mexico's striker problem and the fact that they can't pick one, despite having a lot of different opportunities and high potentials in some of these players, including Santi Jimenez. They can't pick one. So me and Andres are here to talk about the different strikers that Mexico has and why it's a big problem, because it is. Um, first of all, should Santi be the number one? Because I feel like he is the biggest name here now. He has the
Yeah.
most European pedigree out of all these players, even at his young age. Should he be the number one, or should Javier rely on Raul Jimenez or Henry Martin and give him more opportunities amongst other players that he might call up? I don't know.
See, the thing is like, yeah, he has everything like that you want in a striker. Coming into a national side, it's
Right.
just like when he does play, he just doesn't perform well. That's the issue here. Is like he should be on paper, right? Like he plays great for uh Feyenoord, right? In the Dutch league, right?
Yeah.
Plays great. I mean, this season he's already kicked it off already with like what 4 goals, right? Something like that. Four
Something like
goals
that.
already.
I know he's firing to start it off. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then we look at the Copa America performance. Yes, there was a lot of things wrong on the whole Mexican side with that one, but like he's had some glaring mischances that were highlighted a lot, especially in that Venezuela game that I went to. So if you guys want to check out the vlog, go check it on the
Nice.
channel previously.
It's a
Look at
great
that
plug.
plug.
That was a
Thank
great
you.
plug.
I try. But yeah, I think it's just he just isn't performing to the standards that he has in the club, and some players are like that, or vice versa, where they play great for the national team, not good for club, and
Right.
good club, bad national team. But I hope it's not that. It's still early. It's still early to be fair. I got to admit we're not playing to his strengths either, so I think there's that.
Yeah.
But this striker issue that we have at the moment, especially with Aguirre, is trying to figure out who should be our main striker. All started from Chicha. Chicha being
Mm,
too old now, just because
mm,
you would think of the striker position, you think, oh, Chicha's playing. Like, no doubt in your mind he's going to perform. Or Peralta would
yeah.
come on later on, whatever. Yada, yada. It was those two. Those two were our guys. But now it's kind of like, oh, I don't know who's going to start in this position. I think that's our biggest issue. But Raul
Yeah.
Jimenez, I was never a fan of him too much. His
Yeah.
glory days
At
are
least for
well past him.
Mexico, at least for Eldri, he's never hit it off. He
No.
really has never hit it off. I like watching him in the Premier League pre-head injury, and it really is a shame what happened to him,
Yeah.
because he was one of the better strikers in the Prem by far,
Mm-hmm.
and who knows, he could have stepped it up for Mexico at some point, especially with the Copa America and World Cup and whatnot. And so it is a shame what happened to him. And I really did like him, but I I don't know if it's his time anymore to come back to the Mexican team. And if you
Oh,
said 2-3 years
I'm
ago, I would have
getting
been okay with it.
Diego. Give me a second. I'm researching.
Go ahead. But if you said this maybe a year or two ago, like sure, fine, I wouldn't mind it. But it's since he last played, I just don't think he's done enough to deserve it. I don't think I don't think there's many, or I do think there's more players maybe that should be above him in his pecking order. But I don't know. He still has quality, he still has talent. He's not really firing a whole lot in the Premier League anymore. I don't mind giving the opportunity, but I don't think it's the best option here.
Like
Out
he's
of
a part
these,
of the old regime. That's the thing.
yeah,
He's a part of the old generation. Like when you think of him, it's kind of like you link it still to the Carlos Vela, Chicharito's type
mm-hmm,
team. Like, and he would come on, like do something sometimes. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But like now he's 33 years old. That's what I was researching. 33
mm,
years old, played 12 minutes against United in the Fulham side. He's kind of been hopping around teams
yeah,
recently. But yeah, it's just not it. I think you just have to either bring in a youngster, or I like the kid though. I forgot his name. Is it Gonzalez or Rodriguez? Something like that. Who was in the Copa America side? He was very
mm-hmm,
tall. I like him. I
mm-hmm,
think he's good. I think he can bring a different aspect that uh, we're looking for. But also, I think
mm-hmm.
it depends on Aguirre's playing style. And I think the way he wants to play is more suited to Santi. But we'll just
Yeah.
have to wait and see. That's the only issue.
One of my biggest issues with this striker thing is I do think it really correlates with how this Mexican side is run, for good or for bad. After Jimmy Lozano took place in a really interesting weird middle ground between like a transition period between the old regime and the new kids. He didn't do enough, I think, to progress that, but he
No,
definitely
I
did
agree.
more than I think many people were expecting, and he definitely did more than Javier Aguirre here because you're bringing back Raul Jimenez, right? Javier Martin is okay. I don't mind him coming back just because he's a solid player, especially for club. Um, but Raul coming back, like you could have taken that third spot to bring a youth player in, like you said, bring somebody in who hasn't really been in the fold, which I think for me personally is the only way that Mexico is ever going to evolve is if you start doing that now. Because
Yeah.
at some point, the old regime is the old regime. You could even argue now that it's too far beyond them even being included. Names like Gallardo is are being considered here and being rumored here as well.
Oh
Exactly.
Lord.
Exactly. And like I get it, it's fine. You can have some veteran players on this team, but not them. I'm sorry. Their time with Mexico is done. They Mexico needs to move on. Javier Aguirre should be the one moving
They
this
had a good
team along
run.
further.
They had a good run.
And yeah, they did. And I fear that it's going to be too late to an extent. I fear that you may lose out on players like Marcelo Flores.
Oh yeah, he's
He
solid.
he
He's
is
really good.
eligible. He's solid. He's 20 years old. He's eligible to play for Canada, right? And
Oh
if you had the opportunity right now in this moment, to pick one of those teams to play for, I'm picking Canada. And obviously that's personal preference, and he is from Mexico, why not? And he's more in tune with his Mexican side, and I'm sure he wants to play for Mexico more. But let's say Javier Aguirre is here for the next 2 years for the World Cup, and Marcelo Flores isn't getting a shout because Javier is choosing to go with older players from past
yeah,
teams, I don't know. I would look at switching to Canada. He's still not cap tied by Mexico. He still could switch to Canada, and not just him, but other players that are eligible to play elsewhere, um,
yeah. I
including
think
like USA dual nationals. Mexico just got
yeah,
a lot, especially Obed Vargas from Seattle Sounders. They're getting a lot of dual nationals from the USA because the USA is being oversaturated with talent in the youth.
yeah, yeah.
To an extent, in the youth teams, and they're switching to Mexico. I could imagine maybe more or maybe less tend to switch over to Mexico. Go ahead, Andres.
No, I was just gonna say the September international period is gonna be an interesting one, but I also think it's gonna be important to note the U.S. game, just to see the way he is gonna bring that squad, just because it's a friendly, yes, but it's still an important game depending on who the U.S. bring personally. You know what I mean? Um, but I think it's early on, so I'm not going to judge him too harshly just yet. He's trying to get a hold of things,
Yeah,
um, and just see where everyone's at. But if he doesn't make changes, then it's going to be a worry. You know what I mean? But
yeah, and
it's still a little too early. But I don't like the idea of bringing like certain players back. Like I've seen the
yeah,
reports. I've seen the reports. I'm like, I don't know about that one. Like
right,
there's no reason to. You know what I mean? Like just stick
yeah,
with the young kids. Yes, the young kids like was Ortega, yeah. He struggled
mm-hmm.
a little bit, but I mean, once again, like this was his first proper go in the Mexican
He's
national
gonna
side in
mold
the
into it.
last. Yeah,
He's gonna
exactly.
mold into it. Yeah, without
So
a
you
doubt.
just got to give some of these youngsters more time and not just plug in veterans like how he wanted. So
Yes,
how he's reported what he's gonna do.
yes,
So it just depends on what he does. But I'm okay with it being the first provisional squad. Playing it safe, seeing what's up. But
yeah,
then I kind of want to see some change up going on because they're just friendlies at the end of the day, and you're trying to build your squad and you're trying to figure out what works and what doesn't for you.
yeah.
So yeah, but
And
Marcelo Flores is someone I would like to see another shout at because I think he's quality, and it's a shame he didn't get a run in the Copa America because I very felt like he could have done something for us in the attack. But
yeah,
that's just
without a
me.
doubt, without a doubt. And I feel like this whole striker situation also I think really does correlate with Santi Jimenez's performances, like we mentioned earlier, but in the way that Javier Aguirre might look at Mexico games in the past year or so, and his struggles. I think Javier really puts too much pressure on Santi for his own struggles. And granted, Santi has not been that great of a player for Mexico, and that's okay. But a lot of it has been lack of service around him, lack
Yep.
of good players around him, lack of good opportunity given to him. So I don't think it's fully Santi's fault. And I think Santi is that kind of player that if he doesn't have that good team set up around him, he's going to struggle a little bit. So I don't know. If I'm Javier, I go into this Mexican side and look at how I can help him instead of
Yeah.
how to replace him. Santi has been long disrespected by Mexico. Long disrespected. from Jimmy Lozano to Diego Coca to Tata. The past 3 or 4 managers have disrespected Santi over and
It's
over again.
crazy that we've had 4 managers since the World Cup. Like, you
No,
think about it,
genuinely,
like that's
genuinely.
mental.
Since we've started this podcast, we've covered like 4 different managers, 3 or 4 different managers. But
Me yelling at every single one. That's crazy.
genuinely, it's going to continue, and then after it's
Yeah.
going to be
Well,
Rafa.
hopefully not. Hopefully this is we found peace. You know what I mean?
True.
But I agree. I think the pressure on Santi is all of Mexico. Like, literally, like you're replacing. Well, you're trying to replace one of the greats of all time from the Mexican national side, was Chicharito. Right. So. And you had what was his name? The Argentinian turned Mexican international. I forgot his name. Funes Mori. There we go. That guy was atrocious. It's easy to replace him. But like, he's coming to this side with the amount of height that he's coming in from Europe. It's hard. It's hard. I mean, it's a lot of pressure. And even his dad commented during the Copa America how much pressure he has. But he acknowledges the fact that Santi has to perform well. But at the same time, it's like he's going from Feyenoord, who literally that team is built around him. If you really want to think about it, like, that team is peak for him.
It services him well.
Yeah, and then you come into this Mexican side, and it's not even close to a Feyenoord type of team that's built around it, that's able to give him the ball. But I'm hoping with Aguirre, the tactics are going to change, and it's not going to be like, oh, just give Santi the ball at halfway when we win possession and hope for the best. I really hope it's more of a build up type S thing, because that's what Santi's good at, is building up and then finding them. So I hope that's what happens, but we're gonna have to wait and see.
And the thing too is with the 3 players we've mentioned, Henry Martin, Raul, and Santi, they're 3 relatively different style of players. I mean, Raul and Santi are somewhat similar, but Henry Martin is very different. And I'm very curious to see what Javier does, because you can't have the same tactic and drop all 3 in the same spot and expect the same outcome. They all need different things, very vastly different things. And I hope that Javier has the ability to recognize that. And instead of punishing these players for, trying to exist in a harmful environment for them with their own team. Like I said, Santi I think does deserve some criticism a little bit, because even when he does get good opportunities, it doesn't work out well. But he also hasn't had the opportunity to build confidence with better opportunities. He hasn't had the chance to develop as a player with the Mexican side, because there's so much change and there's not enough quality there around him. And I don't think Javier should fully put the blame on Santi, which I think he is doing. And that's why he's bringing in more players for competition, which is fine. But, Raul Jimenez being here, he's 33. There's no future there. You're building for the future here. Whether he wants to or not, you're building for the 2026 World Cup. And if not the 2026 World Cup, you're building for 2030 World Cup. Yeah. And by then, Santi will be in his prime, towards the end of his prime. But, Santi by then will hopefully have moved to a bigger squad, a bigger team, and be firing, in international football and world football. You got to be building for that. You got to prepare for that now. There's no point to bring Raul Jimenez in, who's 33, and probably, I don't even know if he probably won't even make the 2026 World Cup squad.
Oh, no. Oh, dude.
He'll be what, 34, 35? Like, what's the point, 35. By that point?
Yeah, no offense, Raul.
Yeah, like, I'm okay with him being in the squad, but I don't think he should get opportunities here, at least the next 3 games that they have, especially not the game against the USA. I think Santi has to be the number 1. And, or you find a way to play him with Henry Martin or something, but you can't just brush him to the side, because at some point he's not going to want to play for this team. I mean, I don't want a Carlos Vela to happen, right? And it's a vastly different situation, but Carlos Vela chose to not. Like, Carlos Vela should have played.
Greatness.
Should have played for Mexico for the past, since he stopped, since the 2018 World Cup.
Yeah.
He should have been a mainstay player. He is. I don't know about still, but a year or 2 ago, he still was one of the most talented Mexican players in that squad.
Making me sad now, dude.
You don't. I'm sorry. You don't want another player to feel disrespected or anything, or have a reason to not play for this team. And I don't know, if I'm Santi, at some point I start to feel that.
I mean, you already saw glimpses of it on the bench when he got subbed out, or not played at all. Like, he's already frustrated because he knows what he can bring. He's just not being able to do it on the pitch sometimes. But you don't want to frustrate a player who's trying to give you his all. You don't want to
Yeah.
do that,
And you're
especially
just
when he's
disrespecting him.
arguably your best player, besides Edson Alvarez probably.
Yep.
On your, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that where we don't want a Carlos Vela situation, a little bit different, but we still don't want that situation to happen again.
And you want you want your main squad to grow together. That was one of the biggest things in the past in the old regime, in the Layun days. Like everybody, you knew who was going to make that team. You knew which players were going to start, and you knew why they were going to start because they worked so well together. You got to build that again. And I understand, there was some success in CONCACAF, great, and I understand there wasn't more. There could have been more, should have been more, arguably, but do it again. Remember, you've mentioned this before, Andres, but the videos of them working out or training and whatnot, and they were just best friends, and that adds so much, especially when they were playing against a USA side who, would bring multiple players in and out, didn't really have the best core, and the core that they did have were not that good. Mexico had that cohesion, and now look at them. Now USA, who's making the team, who's going to start, who's going to be involved. Where Mexico, you don't really. And
That's true.
There's no point in you can't bring the old regime to do that again. You can't bring the old strike force to do that again. You have to set that up with the new young core, which you have a solid young core of players, and the new generation,
it's gonna take time,
including Santi. Let them mesh together at the same pace.
Yeah.
Accept the defeats now with a younger squad, so you can get better results later on. I don't see the point of bringing these players in, and I understand learning from them, but realistically, what is Santi going to learn from Raul on an international level? What is he going to learn from Henry Martin on an international level? Not much. I don't think a whole lot. You can make the case for other players, sure, but in the case of Julian Araujo, he needs to be involved. The
that's
20-year-old,
a must. It's a must.
Exactly. The 20-year-old goalkeeper who plays for Bilbao, he started the first game for them and had a great save, had a great couple saves.
Oh no,
he needs to be playing.
No, he's good. He can drop to the bench.
Well, all of them, he's gonna drop to the bench and he's playing because of circumstance. But he you needs to be given opportunities here.
Yeah.
There's no point.
I don't mind Ochoa though. Let's be real. I'm gonna be real. That's the one guy I don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind it now, but I do think that keeper, I mentioned, I'm talking about, he'll be 22 in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Great age to be starting. Young,
I mean, he's probably gonna start, but yeah. I mean, Ochoa's there just so he can probably break the record for the World Cup.
Did you see Malagon's penalty against Colorado in the Leagues Cup? I think the penalties went to he changed it wide and he missed it, and then Stefan scored and I think saved and they won.
Damn.
Silly Malagon representing well, huh?
But bro, it was so weird. He was all of a sudden back within 3 weeks later.
I know.
I was like, what? The nerves got to him.
For real.
The nerves got to him. He backed out. Trust me, bro. That's the source. Trust me, bro.
Trust me, bro. There we land. But this strike force has
leave the kid
a
alone,
lot of talent.
No,
he's great. No, I love the kid. He was on a CBS Sports Golazo, and I saw the interview.
Oh, he was?
And I was like,
oh, bro, that's so sick.
And in my head, I'm like, how do we get him on to get a full podcast, bro? So that we land, get in collab, would be insane.
Oh, dude, I thought you were bullying him. I feel bad.
No.
I see it on Twitter. I'm like,
just
leave the kid alone, bro.
The kid does not deserve bullying, bro. He's doing his
own
own thing.
Doesn't.
No, he's doing his
killing
own
it. He's killing it, though. He's more exciting than Fabrizio, I'm not going to lie.
Honestly, Fabrizio's gotten old. I like it there we land. But,
I concur.
Yeah. So if you guys are at this point in the video and you guys have any opinions on the Mexican Strike Force or any other bit of Mexican national team content, let us know in the comments down below because we do read every single comment.
Me too.
There's a lot to look forward to the next couple weeks. The 2 friendlies in early September and then the friendly in mid-October for USA in Mexico. That's going to be fun. If we can stream that could be sick.
I mean, it's not like I'm going to be able to go, but just finally games in Mexico.
Truth, yes. I'm a USA fan and finally should we play in Mexico. It's amazing that it hasn't been at all.
It's about to be the most toxic environment you've ever seen.
That's going to be great. That's going to be so good. Yeah, it's going to be brutal, I think. It's going to be very aggressive.
The corners are going to be just full of beer bottles, not bottles, but beer cups and all that jazz, 100%.
And the difference too is I don't think it's going to be stopped as much.
Oh no, 100% won't be stopped.
Here.
And
It's
I'm
gonna be
all
great.
for it. As long as no one gets hurt from it, I'm all
As
for
long
it.
as no one gets hurt. As long as no one's
Yeah,
no one
I'm
gets
all
hurt.
for it.
But yeah, so if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like down below. And of course, subscribe for more Mexican content and CONCACAF content alike, because we have a lot planned for the next month, 3 years, to be honest. We got a lot planned. So
Yeah,
make
a
sure to
lot.
subscribe, leave a like, notifications on if you want to watch more content when they first come out, and leave a like and leave a comment so we know you're first, blah, blah, all that jazz.
Oh, I set up
We'll
too
see.
early. Bye.
That's okay.
I was about
The
to
double
do a
salute's
double
insane. We'll
double
see you guys
salute.
later. Take care.
Bye.